Now at 5, mixed messages over Syria.
We're looking very, very seriously, very closely at that whole situation, and we'll see what happens, folks.
As the president's Secretary of State nominee faces grilling from senators.
Will you be a voice of reason, or will you support the president's worst instincts?
Tonight, major foreign policy questions mount around the Trump presidency. And a decision about if and how the U.S. should respond to an alleged chemical attack in Syria should come at any time now. As
the president weighs his decision, his pick to be the next Secretary of State answered some tough questions about his views on foreign policy and the president. CBS 4's Eliott Rodriguez in the control room now with details. Eliott.
Well, guys, President Trump is walking back a tweet that seemed to telegraph military action in Syria. He now says a U.S. strike may not be as imminent as he made it sound in the tweet. He's weighing his options as his choice to be Secretary of State answered questions on Capitol Hill about possible war in Syria and elsewhere. And a reminder, some of the video from Syria is disturbing to watch.
We'll see what happens, folks. We'll see what happens.
The White House is keeping Russia and its ally Syria guessing about a possible U.S.-led airstrike. Today, President Trump was asked if military action was inevitable.
It's too bad that the world puts us in a position like that. But, you know, as I said this morning, we've done a great job with ISIS. We have just absolutely decimated ISIS. But now we have to make some further decisions.
On Twitter, Mr. Trump wrote, never said when an attack on Syria would take place, could be very soon or not so soon at all. The U.S. and its allies are weighing a response to this suspected chemical attack on Syrian civilians. It took place last weekend in the rebel-held town of Douma. Russia isn't backing down, promising to shoot down any U.S. missiles fired at its ally and would consider an assault on Syria to be a war crime, one that could lead to a direct conflict with the United States.
And I intend to work to achieve the president's policies with diplomacy.
On Capitol Hill, President Trump's Secretary of State nominee, Mike Pompeo, was grilled by lawmakers, some of them worried about how he'll handle the president.
It's fair for our members to ask whether your relationship is rooted in a candid, healthy, give-and-take dynamic, or whether it's based on deferential willingness to go along to get along.
Will you be a voice of reason, or will you support the president's worst instincts?
The job number one is to represent the president. For me, this means building substantial relationships with our allies, relationships that President Trump and I can utilize for both tough conversations and productive cooperation.
Pompeo stressed diplomacy in handling North Korea and Iran, while addressing concerns he's too hawkish on foreign policy.
There's no one like someone who served in uniform, who understands the value of diplomacy and the terror and tragedy that is war.
At one point, Pompeo was asked about comments made by National Security Advisor John Bolton, who said the United States should invade Cuba.
And did you agree with Bolton's viewpoint that we should go to war with Cuba?
No, Senator.
How about...
I haven't at any time stated that I believe we should go to war with Cuba.
Well, the question now is not Cuba, it's Syria. Tonight, CBS News is reporting that President Trump met with his national security team about the situation in Syria. The president also plans to speak to President Emmanuel Macron of France and British Prime Minister Theresa May on the topic later tonight.